Disclaimer, this video is for entertainment purposes only. Do not appropriate Māori culture. I create these videos purely to share my design process, and this isn't me teaching you how to do moko. If you aren't Māori or weren't taught by Māori, you shouldn't be doing moko. Obviously the conversation is way more nuanced than this, but you get the gist. I hope you enjoy this video. Cheers. Chifano, today we're going to be jumping into a back piece that I did on the Bro Cameron. As you can see here, it covers most of the back. And I'm just going to be walking through the design process, my thoughts and inspirations behind it. Hope you fellas enjoy. So Cameron originally booked in and he wanted to get his whole back done. But then he later on showed me a drawing of the sort of shape and size that he wanted to do. And it ended up being this sort of shape that you can see here. Which is good because I originally had him only booked in for 2 days, and then I didn't think we were able to do the whole back in 2 days, which we couldn't have. And because it was only this size, we did it in 2 days. So at the bottom of this piece, you can see it sort of fill up the width of the lower back, comes in, sort of gets a bit skinny in the middle, and then it branches out and gets wider at the top. And it was to represent a specific journey for him. And in this one, we've got the bottom part, and I used it to represent his foundation, his whakapapa, everyone and everything that he comes from. Obviously, foundations being at the bottom. And then coming in here, I've got this face, and I use it to represent taniwha. For challenges, challenging times. And this is a personal sort of story for him, so I won't share too much of the detail, but this represents a taniwha, and, visually, it's also kind of like a, restrictive sort of area of the moko, and kind of like a bottleneck, so everything comes from here, flows up into here, into this bottleneck area. And if you are into movies and storytelling like me, it sort of represents the hero's journey. The first part, which is where you begin, foundations, and then call to action, which is some sort of challenge or something happening, coming here, which is where all the learning happenings, all the challenge happens, and then coming out into this big area here, which is new realization, transformation, growth, all of those sorts of things. So that's the gist of what it represents. And with this one, again, like all my other moko, a big influence is anatomy. And in the back, we've got the lats, which are the wings. Another name is the wings, which are muscles that sort of go like that. And they create this V sort of shape. So I wanted the flow of this top part of the moko to mimic that V. So that's why all the flow is going out from the middle. And then you've got up the top, you've got these muscles over here, which are the traps. Hope you can see this. Yeah, the trap muscles, which is those ones. When fellas do that, those are their traps. And I've got these lines here, which sort of mimic the flow from the neck down into the traps towards the shoulders. And then, to create contrast, I've got these lines here, which are counter to this flow, that V flow. And also, if you have a look closely, if you follow this line, it flows straight into it. Follow this line, straight into it. This one, straight into that one. This one, straight into that one. And the same goes for this side too. Did that one on purpose. Pretty stoked with it, to be honest. And then, right at the top, anchoring it all, is this, which he specifically asked for. Yeah, so a lot of leading lines, everything kind of comes from the center line and moves out, either out and down or out and up. So everything sort of branches out, like a flower. You could say everything comes from here and here. Obviously we've got these blackout sections. That was to create some contrast. He also requested it too, which I'm glad, because I've just recently started getting back into doing blackouts. And these blackouts create good contrast and good visual separation from these really intricate detailed filled in areas. And also, if you were looking closely at this piece, to break up all of these areas that are filled in, I've left these little blank areas, which are kind of like an arrow pointing down to these ones. So there are all these little markers and cues in the whole piece that point towards things. So those areas point towards this taniwha. These areas point out towards his other moko. He's got 2 sleeves done by another artist. And then these areas point towards these lines, which create that illusion of width where you want it, or especially for a male, which is at the shoulders. These areas sort of constrict around the middle. Yeah, hope this was informative and entertaining. Hope you fellas enjoyed this. See you fellas in the next one. Let me know in the comments what you fellas thought of this. If you have any ideas of other content that you might want to see, let me know.